Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is a quick video on a repair for the 84 to 86 Fiero headlight motor, the door motor. Anyways, again, we're here at Jim's Speed Shop. I'm your host, Jim, and let's get in. Okay, so we are basically going to open this up and start cleaning. And before we start cleaning, I just wanted to let you know, you're going to have a handful of these, they're known as semi-tubular rivets. Semi-tubular because they're round, and then they do have this brief hole, like as if it was drilled into. And then there's a punch or the C-type installation tool. And what that does is that rolls the outer back portion of the rivet over. Now, the kit that we got, this comes with the main gear, which really isn't needed, but we're going to use it. Your grease and these screws that we're not going to use because we have an array of rivets coming in from Hanson Rivet out of Pacoima, California. Tell them that Jim sent you. Ask for Edwin. So now, basically they're all drilled out. You're just going to carefully open this up. Down here, this guy. So let's put this back in here so you can see. So here we have the upper half. This is the gear, and this is what basically happens to these. I don't know if you can see that. This looks like emerald green. It's a hardened material. Some nylon that used to be in here is now infused and melted on this shaft. Okay, so we're going to give this a thorough cleaning, and I'll go over that with you. Here's our armature. Just be careful with that. We've got our warm drive gear here. You're going to remove this little rubber dealie right here. Okay, set that aside. And you pop out. They're like points. These are your contacts over your armature. They're still in good condition. And then you can get like a point type filer, but I think these aren't too bad. Be careful with these. I think they might have these available. But anyways, you're going to set that aside. So I'm going to set my armature aside. And just so you know, if it's original with the rivets, you're going to have this seal here. You're going to replace that with silicone. So, and then eventually this will get pressed off. And that we're going to pop our gear on. And the rubber that the kit comes with to replace that emerald green destroyed material that is all up in here as well goes right in here. I saw a video where somebody used JB weld, but you really want that shock. JB Weld's just basically going to glue this together. So I assume he centered this piece and he left it like that. But you want a little bit of cushion and give, so I wouldn't recommend JB Weld. There's a lot of videos on YouTube. I just like doing things very thorough, correctly. And I'll tell you what we might end up doing is JBing this right here. Okay, it does tend to move on us. All right, with no further ado, we're going to leave that there, that there. We've got some cleaning abrasives here. I'm going to show you. I've got either 600 or 800. If you have access to this, you're going to use some soap. And you are going to carefully clean this armature And if you have like a stick or some type of pad, you want to make sure your surface, don't take your finger and burrow in. You do not want to scallop that. You want that nice and clean. And these, there's some C-clips. If you could take this off, I don't need to. There's no rust in the armature. I will grease this before I put it back on and then move that back into location. Same thing with this. Make sure you don't lose this. So we're going to set that aside. I'll just keep that on there for now. Set that aside. Now I've got these Scotch-Brite pads. We've got the gray. We've got the red. This car, apparently, it is a 86 Countach Lamborghini, which you'll see later. It's a kit car. And they used, Lord only knows what they used, but in this case we know they used the Fiero headlamp door motors. So we've got this, we've got some brushes here. We'll get a little more aggressive on the cleaning of this for the plastic. I've got this cleaner here. You want to make sure that you're able to cut in and go through the cut in through the oil or the grease, basically the original grease, which has been built up. And don't lose this O-ring. That's behind the arm. That's the seal. Okay. So now what we can do is get a paper towel here and manually wipe up as much as possible, because you're not going to reuse any of this. And don't forget, we've got the debris of that emerald green whatever that disintegrated in there. So I've got a degreaser here, citrus green. Guess it helps to open that. Try it again. Ah, there we go. All right. Keep that there. Some of this stuff, make sure it's well ventilated. Wear a mask. Make sure you got glasses on. That's all you're doing is cleaning. This is a little abrasive, but what I did, since this was supposedly replaced, and it's not, this gentleman went to a couple other shops, and this was supposedly purchased brand new. Well, in research, come to find out, you can't buy them brand new because they're gone. So that is lacquer thinner, and that's going to help to remove the paint, because that's exactly what they did. This was oversprayed. The gentleman bought the car from someone else. The car had already been painted, but supposedly the shop had replaced this. Well, if that's the case, and it was brand new, which it's not, how does it have all this yellow overspray that matches the color of the car? So again, we'll just put that on, get that out of the way. Don't judge me on my camera skills. I know I probably suck, but as long as you could see what's going on in here. Now, I don't know. Some of you might not want to bother cleaning this, but, you know, we are a restoration shop. It's in the blood. Just a habit. We like to clean and prep everything. And just make sure we're thorough. Everything's done nice. Okay, so it's got a little bit more right there. Really, this is not going to win any award shows, so we're good there. All right, that's good enough. All right, and then we'll get in here. I think we're pretty much good. We're going to run this under some soap and hot water, and then we'll get the blowgun and then blow this off clean. Okay? But you don't want to use something or a chemical that is going to dry this out. Like brake cleaner, carb cleaner, that could damage the plastic to where it gets brittle and cracks. Just like Lexan on an RC body, you know, in hobbies. Same thing. My kid doesn't know any better, and he's out there. I'm like, where's my brake cleaner, my carb cleaner? And he's out there cleaning his body and then crying later because it started falling apart and cracking. Well, you can't just put any chemical to any surface. All right? Some things are more sensitive than others. And by the way, when you're drilling these out, make sure you address just the tip, okay? And then take a center punch that is small enough to go on the inside of that hole, and just make sure it's secure from the back, and just tap. Don't whack at it because you don't want to break the plastic. Pop them out. So I am going to continue cleaning all this. And on this, just so you know, I'm going to take this here, this cloth. Yeah, that's on there pretty good. And I'll have to just be patient with this. If you take this to a wire wheel, make sure you don't put too much pressure, and it's brass. If you take it to steel, you will probably damage and grind into the surface. All right, so I'm going to continue cleaning all this stuff and get right back with you. Alrighty, so now we have got all our parts all nice and clean. And if you look, no more overspray. Just let this absorb in some lacquer thinner and she'll be good. So now we're going to do our assembly. Oh, and by the way, this piece here, you have to press this off. You need some relief down here. This gear went on like that. This piece is going to press off. You can use a little Loctite on here once you press it back on. That's not bad. We got this all nice and clean. You could use like a Goo Gone because that stuff got sticky and gooey. You don't want to take this, like I said, maybe a light touch on a brass, which is very soft. Because if you go any coarse, you're going to dig into this metal. We don't want to do that. We've got our other gear here, all nice and clean. Look at that. Okay, so this ring here, okay, not to forget this ring goes back in here. And by the way, when you're cleaning this guy, you're gonna want to get an X-Acto knife. Be careful you don't poke or stab yourself. We got a little bit more here. Okay, so, and then I used again the brass. See that? As you're pushing in, want to make sure you don't stab yourself. You're not going to have a fun day. And where's our brass? Here it is. And basically brush that out. These are real tight. These gears are tight and close together, so they are going to lock in the gear. So we're going to set that aside since we have this new gear here. All right, we're going to take a little bit of our grease. Why not? Because grease is your friend. Okay, I'll just take a little dab. It's almost like dialithic grease. All right, so we've got our shaft here. Get that lubed up. Now this goes in like that. And that figures. It's a little tight at the top. But here's the thing. We have to go ahead and press this, and then this guy is going to go on top, and then these guys here are going to wedge inside to act as a shock absorber. So that's how that's going to work, and I'm not going to sit here trying to ream this out. I'm going to try and, it's this edge here, but I don't want to, I actually don't want to reduce this because that's got to fit real nice and snug and press back on there. So it's just right here on the outer perimeter, not so much where it's sliced. So I'm going to put this back in the press, set this back up, and we're going to come right back out here and continue reassembly of our lamp head motor. Alrighty, so we got our new gear pressed on. Word of warning. I won't mention any names, but if you buy this kit, this ID on this gear, it's fairly tight. So, and these rubber bullets or whatever you want to call them, they stand straight up. So the radius is going to hit on the inside. There they are. Let me show you here. In here, 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 and here. And the only way to get to that is to have them in place, line them up, set this up, and be careful. When you're doing this, I had to rethread this, but you're going to want to get a tube and use this part as a stop, okay? Avoid getting near this. I wasn't expecting this to go in so tight, but hey, if your original gear is fine, roll with it. So now, let's go ahead and get everything back together. So we've got our armature cleaned, okay? Like I said, a little 600 and some soap, touch of water. So this is going to go back in here, but first, I'm going to take our grease. We're going to grease right here, just a little bit. And this guy slides back on, okay? And then we're going to take that same grease and wipe that on the worm drive, just like that. So this guy goes back here, okay? And let's see, make sure you're positioned there. There we go. I think you can see it now. And we are going to set this in. Now this had a two-way stick tape that, and then look where your radius on this brass bushing, radius is on this side, the flat is on the smaller piece. And this guy right here, this two-way stick tape is going to stay up there. So you're going to line all this up and just push this back in. And hope and pray that she behaves. There you go. There. Push that back. In there. Down. Make sure everything's clean. And these are magnets. Make sure there's nothing in here. I think I see something right there. Nope, that's just the rod. We're good. Okay, so that goes in there. Then you're going to take more of the grease. You're going to grease the entire gear. All the way around. Even the stem of the shaft. In fact, just squeeze some in the hole. Sorry about that. Oh, well, excuse me for a minute. Alright, you guys, sorry about that. So you're going to do the same to this gear over here. And just work that in, all the teeth. Well, at the end of the day, we're still running a business here, huh? All right. And be liberal on the grease. All right, we're gonna grease this here. Now this guy's gonna ride against here, but we need some grease over here. Drop that in there. Don't forget this wave washer, okay? And we're gonna get some up here as well. But don't forget to put that wave washer in. Very important. Get that tip right there too. Alrighty then, that's pretty much everything. I'm gonna take some more grease. I'm gonna pop it over here and right there. And we're gonna take this piece. Now you just gotta be careful as you go on here because you don't wanna chip that, break that. That went all nice together. And then don't forget your O-ring. We're gonna grease that up as well. that goes on. And of course, we've yet to clean this up. You know where that's going to go. Now, unfortunately, you could use a tiny bit of dialithic grease, or I just leave it alone, and pop that in. And don't forget to seal. But again, we're waiting on our rivets, so we're not going to button this up. And also, I want to take a bead of silicone in the groove, just a tiny bead, all the way around. Work that all the way around. That way it ensures, because this guy rides up against the road, adjacent to the tire, tire splashes the water, and water will get in and then do some more damage. So, oh, this thing is doing well. And there she is, she's turning. All right, so hopefully that video helped you. Thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Jim, and you're watching American Garage TV, Jim's Speed Shop, and we'll catch you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share our videos. We greatly appreciate it. YouTube makes us work our butts off for that first 1,000 subscriptions. We're working on it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for tuning in to American